Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another edition of Tarheel by Dark. This evening, we find Nathaniel Ashford on the streets on the outskirts of Charlotte, roughly to the south. And he's walking along. It's a fairly quiet night. No cars really on these back roads. Um, he's barely seen one in the last 30 minutes. And I'll let you take over from here
All right.
for a while.
Well, he's dressed rather unassumingly. White pants, black trench coat, nice tie, just in kind of a business casual leather button down vest. And his hair is kind of tied back a little bit, but kind of loosely because very long, almost down to the middle of his back. But he just sort of looking around, checking over his letters, thinking over his recent financial moves to acquire hotels and properties for these local pagan groups to meet. And he just kind of looks out at the moon, hears an owl overhead, and then a certain chilling kind of a yipping, howling sound, and then he thinks, surely that can't be a coyote this far out and just kind of relaxes himself. I mean, he's got courage five. He's a very brave guy, but still, there's that unfamiliar chill in the air, a certain presence of unseen malice.
Hmm.
Oh God, that explains that.
Gauge for atmospherics. Okay. As you're walking along, you of course hear the owl hooting. Um, and look around and you feel a buzz in your pocket.
He'll flick out his phone and check out the ID real quick.
You, the only thing listed on the ID, in the on the from section, is a series of characters. Five of them. You seem to remember you've seen these before.
Hmm.
Namely, a pound sign, an at sign, a asterisk, a dollar sign, and another pound sign in that
Hmm.
order. Um,
Recalling that usually when this particular set of symbols was involved, Red Owl Security, he kind of connects the dots,
mhm.
and that somewhat human chill up his spine goes a little bit further, and he answers the phone.
No, no, it's not a. It's a text message.
Mm,
It's a text message. Underneath the from line is just a series of numbers and
mm.
decimals. Um, with a negative behind in front of one of them. If I'm just throwing something out there because I haven't looked up precisely, but
Oh, I understand completely.
yeah,
Improv all you like.
yes. What you want to do?
He'll look at the text message, then look at his erstwhile stalker. Oh, for God's sake, I was already feeling a touch jumpy, and here you are. Left it.
Tell her
Well,
to get closer.
well, hire someone. Don't stay by yourself or something. Don't you have those two guard dog ghouls of yours? Oh my. He just kind of literally just kneading the center of his forehead. Alright.
You feel your phone buzz again.
Mm-hmm. And he'll check the message and see what it says.
Same from line, All it says is go there.
Okay. So he'll follow the address presented in the message and just kind of.
It's not exactly an address. It's just numbers, a decimal number.
Okay. So,
Well, two.
yeah. Thinking of this as latitude and longitude, he kind of figures a way to triangulate the location and, will do his best with, I imagine, a wits investigation to make that. So,
Okay. What is that? What's that roll for you?
that would be 6 dice, and I'll go ahead and spend the willpower because this might
Okay.
be a bit tricky.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, it's not too terribly difficult. You think, wait, I have a Google Maps app. Tick, 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 tick. You start punching it in, and it comes to a spot not far away. It's actually just up the road.
hmm So he'll head on up the road with the strange young lady sort of clinging to him. Okay, I'm getting strange messages, so I'm prepared for anything except for strange people showing up out of the darkness for no random reason.
Well, I do have a reason.
Um,
We all know it was because I missed you. No, you did. You were fucking lonely. You know you can't live without them. Shut up. Yes, I can. I just don't want to. Besides, it's not too soon. I mean, I love the bite.
Okay,
mm,
so you're following the directions to the coordinates.
mhm,
You're following the road. Your maps app takes you along the road, and under an overhang of trees. It's almost a tunnel of sorts. The trees are growing so closely at the top, and you follow along, look around. Nothing's really following you, and you keep your eye on the Google Maps, and you get to the you zoom in, you get the exact spot. You look down, and there's a manhole cover.
mm. So looking a bit at the natural protective overhang and then looking down at the manhole cover, kind of observing it and seeing if anything's weird about it or if it's just your standard. Um,
It's just an ordinary manhole cover.
so he'll
It's
actually
got the
take,
name of the company, but the company's been rubbed off from years of cars rolling over it.
he'll actually take the initiative and kind of move that aside and
Hmm.
start heading that way down using the cell phone light as kind of a you know dim torch because he does have a lighter, but he didn't bring it with him. He didn't think
Okay.
of that.
All right. As you make your way down, um, let's see. Let's see if I remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The rungs of this ladder that goes down into the sewers is a little bit slippery. Make me a Dex Athletics. What is that?
All right, Dex Athletics is 4 dice, Mister Sir.
And for me,
Okay,
Yeah, for
not
you,
bad. You
yeah,
fit. You plant your feet and it you go down all the way to the bottom, no problem.
yep. For you, it would be 2 dice, Miss Ma'am. I'm kind of scared
If
for
you want to
you.
follow him, yeah.
I am following him.
All right.
Curse! One
Ooh. Yeah,
knocking
you get
foot.
to that first rung and your foot flies out.
All right, being a bit
Doesn't
complicated.
really do much damage, but you are out. You just poof, like the impact, you're just gone. That was that was almost a botch. um, but shortly thereafter, Ashford, you feel a crack on the back of your head, and everything goes black.
Alright. So, while it's very hard.
Yeah, this stung. You're gonna have a headache for a little while. But as you both come to, you find yourselves in a mostly brick room. Um, the cinder block bricks, um, with concrete roof, and you're both tied to a chair. Tied to a chair piece. And at first, you kind of shake your heads to try to clear. In other words, you can feel that you're tied to something, and you shake your head, and the room slowly focuses a little bit more. Both of your heads are just killing you. Just no real damage, just pain.
Yep.
And you look around, and this figure brushes past you between the two of you in and gets about 5 feet away. It's somewhat tall figure, a little over 5.5 feet, um, and in a very nice suit. When you look down at your feet, you can tell that there's water in this little room, and you're wondering why. You're probably wondering why somebody would
Yeah.
be wearing a suit in this kind of mess. Um, and you hear Ashford hears a familiar chuckle from this figure. Um, he's got black hair, uh, dark black hair, uh, cut, you know, business, formal cut, very professional. He just, hello, you two.
Who the hell are you and why am I down here? God, it fucking stinks.
Woman.
At this, the figure turns around and stares at her. Welcome to the Warrens, my dear. And let me get the picture. You know who's coming, but let me put the picture up.
Hmm.
This face stares to the Warrens, my dear. He
Hmm.
straightens back up and looks over at Ashford.
I.
Ah, Nathaniel. Good of you to show.
Oh, no problem at all.
I'm
I.
surprised it took you 2 messages.
I had to take a minute to figure out where exactly you wanted me to go. I
Mm-hmm.
would, however, make a small request that the lady not be harmed.
Oh, she's perfectly safe. Safer than she would be up there. What with
How
those fanatics?
there in the sewer? How would you call this safe?
Calm down. Don't disrespect the man in his house.
This, you'll find, is the. Although we need to do some bilging, this is the cleanest in the entire place, I assure you. And as he steps to the side, you see now that as your vision is a little bit more clear, you see there's a desk sitting um, not far from where he stopped. It seems like he stopped right at the desk. He steps around it and sits down. And then you feel hands on your shoulders. Now, you two. Actually, if Jess could, if Marie could come a little closer to the phone, that would be great, so that we could hear her a little better. Okay.
She
Now, you two.
She basically said,
My business is primarily with Mr. Ashford here. But I suppose if you're going to follow him, you'll do for a secondary. Anyway, also, Ashford, you know the feeling you're getting looking at him. He
Mhm.
seems like a really good guy,
Mhm. I mean,
and
positive.
you're interested in everything he's saying,
Mhm. Well, having
and same
positive.
for her.
Yep. All right. So having positive feelings toward David already, I am totally focused, paying attention,
Uh
just
huh.
trying to sit up straight in the chair, smiling, trying
Hmm.
to project kind of an air of nonchalance, and just kind of looking at her. Behave yourself while we're here.
Now,
she basically
shall
projects.
we let you go? Will this one be okay to be let go?
Mm.
He
As
looks
much.
at her when he sort of he's facing Ashford, but he looks over at Cynthia.
Hmm. He'll kind of have this affected air of amusement. As much as any moonchild can be trusted, she seems at least pretty compos mentis most of the time.
Yes. Um, I've seen many of her kind, uh, and the many things they had wrong with them, or the many blessings, as they would call it, that they have. She does seem to be the more tame. Very well. And he snaps his fingers, and you feel blades slide between your hands, and you're let go of the chair, but the feet are still tied.
She rubs
Now,
her hands
hmm?
and feels a bit better.
What was that? I missed.
He's
She
she.
rubs her hands and feels a bit better and just kind
Oh,
of
okay.
smiles thankfully.
All right. Now, let's start with. See, I'm a generous leader. Let's start with. I know you have questions, Mr. Ashford, and maybe things you would like of me.
Hmm.
Please, go ahead.
Well, honestly, I had a few ideas.
Hmm.
To be honest, I don't know exactly what you do. This is, of course, to be expected. We are, however, in the same trade of gathering information. We do make it our business to know things. But, however, I can be of use. Rest assured that I will make myself of use. And I do have a small offer for some minor computer help with forging some INS records. Um,
Ah, yes, you do need new identity. Perhaps Mr. Waters will suffice.
that will do for
Hmm.
the.
Yes. Very well. Go ahead with your offer.
Hmm. Well, I did acquire 20% interest in the racetrack, perhaps
Oh,
10 or 15% in interest in that. I'm happy with taking the smaller share, of course. I just would like to retain something so I can work my way into it. But after all,
race,
letting your foot in the door.
racetrack. Hmm. We did have interest in the place. would bring in quite a. It would bring in quite a bit of revenue. Not that we really need it. Um. hmm, Very well. We will make that happen since it has been offered. I believe 10 will suffice.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Not, Mhm.
And like I said, since I'm generous, he looks over at Cynthia. Now you, Cynthia, and you have not said your name to him at all. Cynthia Rose Pennington. It's good to see you. You are the spitting image of your sister, may I say. It's a shame what happened to her. Anyway, is there something I can do for you?
Oh, I'm just kind of following Ashford, honestly.
Really? Nothing at all? We can do just about anything. Mostly if it involves information. But we can get certain things done that most people wouldn't be able to.
He'll
Too
actually,
much, too much visibility for the others.
Ashford will kind of actually take her gently and kind of brush her neck a little bit. You could find out about the organization that caused the hit on your sister's life. It would be helpful for you. You could find out who is actually responsible.
Ah, yes, that.
Well, I did have a job, so could you maybe help me with that?
Actually, one moment. You see, he goes over and he actually slides his chair back, goes over to a part of the wall and pushes in a brick, and a section of it slides over. He walks in, comes back out. It slides back without him touching anything, and he hands you a thumb drive to whichever one wants to take it.
I take it and put it in
Okay.
my
He
pocket.
hands you a thumb drive. That has information on it about your sister, and actually about you. You're welcome. But I'll give you the gist of it. She was attacked, or her family was attacked, and your family was attacked by a gangrel within Magadon, a subsidiary of Magadon.
Before look on her face kind of appears and disappears after about a minute.
Horror, you said?
Yeah.
Uh, yes, we don't like them either. We are not sure whether he was Camarilla, Independent Sabat. Still looking into it. But we will also look for a name as well. That the gangrel seem to be very good at hiding. No records really of them, unless you go very far back to when they were alive. Anyway, not like the Ventru. And he grins at Ashford. The Ventru are very easy to track.
Tall
Now,
trees, tangled roots, the whole 9 yards.
Oh yeah.
yes.
What would you like in return?
Huh. Let's see. The one who killed her has already been dealt with. Find their compatriots. Find that one's friends, shall we say, and root them out.
She nods.
I can assist if necessary. I've already gone to Philadelphia, and he looks at Ashford because he knows that Ashford's been there. Right? Ashford went on the the little trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he looks at me. He knows he's been there. I've taken a little visit to Philadelphia. Walked right in, mind you. Um, and the people on the outside seem, nice enough folks. Very jovial, very welcoming. None of them seem to know anything about this little incident.
So you're telling me to dig a bit deeper then?
Yes.
She nods, understanding.
Now, depending on the time of day and what services or what have you might be going on, you might not be able to enter. I'm a bit different, so I was able to, but let's keep that between us. Yes,
Mm.
Yes.
very good. At this, give me a perception awareness roll, and what would that be for both of you?
For me, it would be 4 again because I only have one awareness. So,
4. Okay. Actually,
uh,
just barely, because of the strength of this, just barely. You get the sense you're sitting in a church.
hmm
It's not very strong, and
mm.
that the preacher is talking to you. That's the feeling you get. Okay. What about Cynthia? What's her perception awareness?
All right. Perception is 2. Awareness is zip. So she's got 2.
2. Uh, um, you don't
Oh.
feel a thing. You don't feel a thing. Okay. You're just talking to this interesting fellow. Uh, oh, I'm sorry, dear Cynthia. He said it already in passing, but he actually leans over the desk and extends a hand. David Menashe, primogen, you might say, grandfather to some of the Nosferatu.
She nods and shakes his hand a bit, kind of just strong grip, and just kind of nods to him with high
Mhm.
respect.
He complements the strong grip with his own, and he just kind of smirks at it. Yes, very good. Most females tend to give limp fish. I approve. Anyway, on to what I need.
Hmm. Most certainly.
I need information on people. Things that I don't dare approach because I don't know exactly where their loyalties lie. I need information on 2 people. The more interesting, the better.
Hmm. Any
Mr.
preference?
Mr.
Oh.
Levitolia.
Hmm.
Yes, he is friends, or at least he pretends to be, with one of my friends. I want whatever you can get on him, whatever information you might be able to glean, and we'll compare notes later.
All right. I've certainly gathered a fair amount of information, but I'll do a little bit more secret digging. I do know that.
Yes, if you could send me that. With that, he reaches in a desk drawer, pulls out another thumb drive, and hands it to Ashford this time specifically.
Hmm.
And you can see that this one's a little bit special. It has what looks like a biometric scanner on it. It's got a pad on it where you would put, say, a fingerprint.
Yep.
Now, This drive is a bit special. Obviously, you can see the biometric scanner. Put your thumb on it, and yes, it works with kindred physiology, and it will recognize you and you alone.
Fantastic.
Now, when you insert this into a computer, it possesses a program that will automatically install itself. Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry.
Thank you. Oh, um,
Oh, bloody murder. Ugh,
hi.
left cell phone ringtones. He literally just looks at it a couple more times, reaches into her pocket, and wants to smash the damn thing. I don't care who's calling. This can wait.
Yes, quite. Now,
I'm terribly sorry.
he actually extends a hand for it.
Ashford will snatch it quickly and just kind of look like he wants to smash it, but then he'll hand it over to David as his kind of de
Hmm.
facto feudal lord for the moment.
He takes it and just sets it on the desk. He punches a few buttons on it and just sets it on the desk. Now, the other I'd like info on. I can't seem to get anywhere close to him, despite the fact that I've been able to get close to Philadelphia.
Hmm,
John Taylor. Maybe you remember him? The
Taylor.
one who gave you that little toy?
Mm. Oh, the
Yes, the Chunkook Doll Master.
mm,
I want info on him. We've done things for each other in the past, but only business. I want to know what makes him tick. I want to know where his allegiances are,
mm.
who he's helping, if anyone, who he likes, who he dislikes, what ways we have of getting to him. He
If I
is
can,
a rather powerful individual, and we like having friends, if you get my drift.
mm, certainly. If I can offer an initial impression,
Yes, please.
he seemed to respect the fact that Nathaniel kind of looks down at himself and kind of notes his impressive physique and just sort of flexes that I wasn't exactly one of your soft, royalistic, pampered princes, that I actually worked for a living, that I had to kind of carry an empire on my back. He seemed to understand that there was a degree of physical presence to me as well. Um, he doesn't seem out and out dangerous, but I definitely sense the aura of power on the man. He had a very quiet authority.
Yes, quite. He seems similar to our other friends, and he winks at Ashford, but not quite.
Hmm,
Um, but yes, I'd like to know what you can find out about him. Perhaps you can get to him. Um, and like you said, with your somewhat questionably impressive physique, you can't tell anything about this guy because he's got a suit on.
I mean,
But
Ashford's got,
yes,
you know,
but yes, you are quite impressive. Anyway, get to him. Maybe perhaps train with him if you can manage to ask him
hmm,
and convince him. Get on his good side, you know,
hmm,
and
hmm,
report back to me when you find something of interest.
certainly.
Well, very good, very good.
Now,
Wow.
Ashford kind of looks scathingly at Miss Cynthia. Don't cause any more trouble. You're here to witness. Don't fuss.
And as for the sneaking into things, I'm pretty sure I could do a good enough job.
Hmm. Good. Now, on to more interesting matters. He snaps his fingers again, and in two quick strikes, your feet are freed. Soup, soup, each. You still don't see the people that did it. Now, uh, he he loops his fingers in a circle. He extends his index fingers and loops them in a circle, and the two hands hold you. They don't pick you up, but they hold you under the armpit, just slightly. Please rise. Let us go for a walk. Yes.
Hmm, certainly. He'll just kind of nod along and, I guess be kind of motoring along with the V behind him like five
Mhm.
or so paces just to show kind of deference.
Okay. All right.
Right there
He.
behind
Hmm?
Ashford now.
She's
Say
just
again.
trying behind Ashford.
Oh,
Uh,
right behind Ashford. Okay. And you see now as you get up and walk out, um, the two that had you appear, and they're not in their nice faces. Very hideous looking individuals, and the outfits they're wearing you would consider rags. Very tattered tracksuits or pajama bottoms or something along those lines,
Can you
and
do
t-shirts.
a roll?
Huh?
Willpower for you, dear, is 6. What are you trying?
To
What you
refuse
doing?
to say something.
To
Oh.
try not to say something? You can spend a willpower to not say what you're thinking.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. All right. So for the scene, you don't have to do it. I'll say that. For the rest of the scene, you don't have to mutter to vocalize. You're fine. But you still have your ADD. You can only cut out one at a time.
hmm
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Okay. He takes you through some tunnels, and these tunnels, something doesn't seem right. He says, "Oh, he stops after a little bit and he turns around. Oh, I thought you should. I thought I'd be the first to say welcome to Asheville."
Hmm.
She smiles and just kind of nods. And just like, "Hmm, it's actually pretty decent."
Thank you for your hospitality.
Mm-hmm. This will be where he nods at Ashford. We'll be staying for a while. You can sleep here, or we can arrange a place on the surface, if whichever you prefer. Sometimes I like to sleep on the surface myself, but but whatever your preference, we can arrange for a place for you to stay. Um, and he kind of half-heartedly looks over at her, and perhaps you, if you'd like. Um, you can come and go as you please, but not in here, not down here. Once you are released, we don't want you coming back. Yes?
She nods. Actually,
Good.
I'm going to be heading off to Philadelphia soon, so.
Oh,
Um, and this
really?
Ashford
Wait.
makes
Oh, oh,
a
that he
effort
think
to.
he thinks it's that Philadelphia, the church, yes, or the city.
Well, try and investigate the church, I guess.
Ah, for that you will need to go to Hickory. You will need to get Andy Amos's permission to go see them because that is her domain.
Yes, sir. I do understand.
Very good, very good. Um, ah, anyway, let's continue. And he turns back around. He takes you through a series of tunnels. You almost, unless you have eidetic memory, it's going to be hard to remember these series of tunnels.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Even for
Yeah,
someone with Astrid's mental acuity, it's definitely staggering. These things are labyrinthian tight, and it seems sort of like the Paris catacombs mixed with a strange metropolis.
yes. But he takes you through tunnels, and he actually takes you past a rather large round room. This almost looks like a hub for other tunnels. And indeed you do see other tunnels running off in several different directions. And in the very center is a very deep pit.
Hmm.
And let's see, perception, investigation, let's say, if you want
Okay,
to do anything with it.
that's 5 dice. He'll kind of peer down and kind of make a cursory examination, see if he can find anything in there.
Okay. Oh my. As you step up and look down, you hear thousands of little squeaks almost. You swear there's thousands of little squeaks and chitters going on down there, but you can't really see anything. It's way too um, deep to see anything. What you do notice is a rope hanging on the side that extends all the way into that extends down into the darkness of the pit. Now,
He'll kind of
I I have an offer. 1 blood point to the pit, and its usefulness will be made available to you. Unfortunately, I cannot offer this to you, Miss Cynthia.
She nods.
Hmm.
Ashford will actually step up quite boldly and ask, just in a polite, kind of deferential voice, "Did you happen to strip the knives I was carrying in my boot?"
He snaps his fingers, and um, one of the escorts that was with you comes up and hands you one.
Hmm. And with this, he'll kind of slash his wrist slightly and
Mhm.
swear a little blood oath. "By the blood that's in my veins, by the blood of the black Trojans, down from the line of Hector himself, I swear my fealty to you and service to the state." He'll hold the blood over
Let's
the
see,
pit.
that was Hector, you said, or
Yep.
Hector? Okay, Hector. Hmm. I have to do a little research on that name. Hmm. Anyway, um, very good, very good. It takes a blood point away from you for this offering. And he says, they'll probably have a good feast with that. Anyway, and he actually will reach over to the rope and start pulling. And as he pulls it up, you see a small metal pail attached to it with very dark, thick liquid in it. He pulls it up, and it looks like it'll hold about a pint, about a as much as you gave. Um,
Mhm.
and he sort of sloshes it a bit. Says, "Yes, good, good, good. Here, drink." And he hands it to you.
And he actually, being that Ashford has courage five, and he is half Irish, he won't just kind of shoot it. Being
Oh,
rather prodigious at drinking.
just gulp, just gulp. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Huh. Rather eager, are we? Very good, very good. You have a 7 level, essentially a vinculum to the
Mm-hmm.
family now. So
Exactly.
if you'll put that on your sheet.
Gotcha.
All right. And that also that includes David, but
Mm-hmm.
to a slightly lesser extent. It's more you'll do what the family needs you to do, according to what 7 is. And actually, let me look that up.
Yeah, that's very potent, very strong. I looked it up in the Sabat Player's Guide.
Hmm.
So he's definitely feeling a sort of a kinship growing up in the gutters and having to fight his way up and being reviled as a prince of pimps, the incubus. He kind of feels a sort of kinship with these outcasts and sort of sees them as brothers in arms in a way,
Hmm.
willing to devote a considerable amount of resources at his own personal expense and a great deal of danger should the need arise.
288. And let me read it exactly once I get it. You may put yourself at moderate risk of harm for the individual, the actually group, depending on your code of ethics, may kill,
Mm-hmm.
but probably not considering the code.
Yeah.
uh, but unless it falls under special circumstances, I'll say that. Um, yes, very good, very good. Now, um, I can teach you how to speak to our little friends. You won't be very good at first, but should you have need, if any approach, they probably won't harm you.
I would consider it a great favor. Thank you, sir.
Hmm. Now, on to the next interesting thing. He turns and looks that way, and he will lead. He'll drop the bucket back into the pit, and he'll um, snap his fingers, and the guard that gave you your knife will take it back.
Mm-hmm.
No chance of even trying to keep it. Just gone. And he'll lead you through another tunnel. Again, a labyrinthine series of tunnels, and past what looks like just an ordinary um, sewer grate. He'll open it up and point in, and he'll actually wait for you all to get through it. He'll close. He'll actually no, scratch that. He'll go through first, and then your guards will close behind and lock it, and then he takes you into this. After a few twists and turns, he takes you into this room that looks like a library. Books everywhere, books and desks. Uh, Books actually laid on some of the tables and desks. Some flung open to particular pages, paper and pencils and such scattered around. But books, uh, 15, 20 feet tall, shelves um, on shelves, excuse me, on shelves, 20 or so feet high, just chock full. a few gaps here and there, obviously, because of some of the books that are taken out and being read.
Mhm.
And then a little further down, you see bit of tattered drapery at the front, down a little hall, uh, um, at in front of another room. No door on this room, um, but looks like flickering candles. They're too far away to do anything to you from here, but like I said, flickering candlelight in this far room. And he says, "Now, this is our library where the less mundane information is kept."
Hmm.
By the way, Cynthia produces a huge grin on her face because she's kind of a book nerd.
Okay, all right, yeah, right. He sees that grin and says, "Ah, a scholar." Very good, very good. Now, um, I might be convinced to offer you this little bit. You will
Hmm.
find topics here that would blow your mind.
Hmm.
Only a few others have I seen, if they were willing to come down here, could look into these books and not be overwhelmed. Within that room, and he points past the books to uh, the candlelit room, is one of our little chapels. You can go in there and uh, practice your faith. We have people of many faiths. We have Christians like myself, Jews like myself, Muslims even, the less crazy kind
Mhm.
of all three types, mind you. Anyway, um, generally, all faiths are somewhat welcome within, as long as they do not directly conflict.
Oh no no. Um, that's often a misnomer that the pagans were afflicted with a demonic worship. I
Yes,
must
quite.
insist that I do revile the bully that have hunted me, and I have taken it into myself to hunt them down as they once hunted me now. I,
Yes, my dear boy, we all despise them. Don't worry. Um, actually, he says, "Come," and he waves to Ashford, and if you follow, he leads you into that chapel.
hmm
Okay.
he,
He leads you in, and there's a few candlesticks here and there. Nothing that would really scare you. I mean, you have courage 3, right?
Courage 5, actually.
Oh, good. Never mind. Okay then. All right. Yeah. Few candlesticks here and there. Nothing really scares you. Um, and he goes over to a side table. You see that this is just very decorated, um, drapery and such. Over on the side, you see looks like ivy or some sort of other garland. Thistles and things such as. And he leads you over to this table where sits a book, and he puts his hand on it, and it's titled "The Eightfold Wheel." He says, "Now," and he drums his fingers on it lightly. "Now, this book was written by a kindred," and he flips it open, "and it coincides with what I believe your faith is, and it details a way that you can follow what you believe and still keep your beast at bay. You may choose to heed its words or simply follow your natural code of ethics and use this as a guide.
Mhm. Ashford will have the biggest kind of movie star esque grin on his face and just kind of casually be glancing over some of the pages and, gleaning some of the ethics and finding that they resonate with him on a
Uh-huh,
very deep
uh-huh,
emotional level.
yeah, mhm.
Particularly the parts where one cannot know strength until it has been taken away from them, thus, actually climbing back up to succeed, actually, you know, cut down the goal again in a way. And he just sort of smiles at that. Thank you, sir.
Ah, I see you find that. Ah, yes, that line. Yes, and he just nods. Now, like I said, you can read it and follow it, or just use it as a guide. Your choice. Um, I will expect you to follow your natural, your well ingrained sense of belief, sense of ethics, and encourage you to use this only as a guide. There are some things that might not fit right, if I may say it that way. But
Mm,
your choice. Your choice.
certainly.
Uh,
But it does help to know that there is a safety net that I can stop my own degeneration should there become a darker day. This
yes.
does
Yes,
give me
quite.
a great
Now,
comfort.
now, he looks over and he sees, is Cynthia looking through any of the books?
Yeah, she's just kind of peering around to see what she can touch and what she can't, and kind of looking back at the garden, looking back at the books, just kind of
Uh,
smiling, like, please.
one of them looks at, they have stopped just within the library, and one of them looks at you. Go ahead, Miss Cynthia. Go ahead. The ones that you're not allowed to touch, you won't be able to get into the cabinets. Don't worry. Go for it. Just don't tear any of them, please. They're
Yeah.
very difficult to put back together.
She nods and smiles gently, picking up a book and kind of getting into it.
Okay. You can pick the topic if you want. It's just, but it is a very detailed book on the topic.
And topic about Ventru.
Huh?
Oh, so
It
she's bringing.
okay. It won't be. I'll say this. It won't be kindred topics.
Okay. Nope.
um,
I was about to.
slightly esoteric. But nothing specifically kindred will be in
Oh,
those books.
what about reading about magic or something?
Some some books that are not really confirmed to work
So
uh,
you,
are what you have access to.
yeah, you'd have
It's
basic.
things that you could get just about anywhere. Really, information you could get just about anywhere on it. So
Theoretically very flowery worded text, but
yeah,
they do a pretty good job of.
not there's you could tell actually intelligence investigation or intelligence academics, whichever's higher
Okay, that for
for
her
her.
would be 4 dice, Mr. Walt, intelligence academics.
Academics, okay. Uh, seven. You gather that There's there it like he said there it's really just flowery words. There's no real meat to it about how things are done. Um,
That's
but it's um lip service rituals, that sort of thing.
mm.
Um, he's and he actually this is when David turns around in the chapel and looks back. Huh. I believe we're down one. And he walks back out of the chapel. I'll stay here as long as you like. Um,
Does
one of
the
us will one of us will collect you when you're ready. Uh, unless you'd like to come with.
um
Is she really needed? I
Huh?
mean,
Well,
um
he's just going back to see Cynthia is all. He walks over and he looks at Cynthia and he smirks and walks over. Ah, yes, this the smirk he had kind of falls a little bit. Ah, yes, that we let the uninitiated see that just to appease them. Don't put any stock in that particular book. It won't get you anywhere.
she
This
looks
is, and he actually leans back and says, "Ashford, come here."
mhm.
she looks at David and asks, "Well, is there a more interesting one in here?"
um Ash will hold up a finger. Trust me, dear. My mother was a bit of a natural magician. These things are not exactly going to just be lying around. There are
Yeah,
very closely guarded secrets. You're not going to expect a handwritten journal, a grimoire, to just be floating around, are you?
No. She
the man
nods.
speaks truth.
She
Now
does look back at David.
he looks at both of you. Now there are certain books hidden within this library that I myself partake of. You will not be able to get into them until you are initiated. And I haven't seen that either of you are ready. And he especially eyes Cynthia. Hmm.
She nods understandingly and just kind of looks around and finds
Now,
different books.
not to say that either of you will not be considered ready, but that will take much practice.
Ashford kind of perks up for a second. The eightfold wheel, need it remain in the chapel, or may I take photographs of at least some of the basic ethical precepts? Not to abandon my
I tell you
understanding.
what, that is the chapel's copy. I will send you another. Yes?
Uh, Certainly. Thank you.
Very good.
He
Very good.
bows very deeply and just kind of has the biggest schoolboy grin on his face. And even you're slightly charmed for a second, and then the Benjamin
Eh,
mask comes back on.
yeah, it's like yes. Well, um, actually, out of game. Give me a second. Looking up something. That one.
Also, now she's
The
just ready.
book at this healing sword and says, "I will tell you this: some of the books in our possession come directly from Thebes
Hmm.
in Egypt."
At this, Ashford's jaw kind of clicks down a notch, and then he quickly sets it back up. Oh.
Oh,
Plus, and her head kind of peeks up in interest a bit.
mm. Yes. Through the years, we've come to acquire these books, and actually, hang on, up something. Bear with me.
Hmm.
You're cool, man.
I'm thinking if I even want to do something.
Might as well go for broke.
You know what? Nah. This is now. When you're ready, when you're interested, I'll have to do some research and study myself to be prepared. But I can prepare some initial trials to see if you're ready. You, and he looks at Ashford. I know what you've been doing with some of your money.
Hmm.
Not a bad idea. Perhaps make yourself useful to them in other ways. Don't enslave them. He gives you a very stern look.
I wasn't thinking that. I was actually
Mhm.
thinking of maneuvering some pieces in a quite positive way. I knew of some girls back when I was in my more shameful days dealing with the Russian mafia, and they got caught in sex trafficking, you understand. And
Mhm.
I figure I would remove some of that negative conditioning, negative reinforcement, teach them housework, accounting skills, perhaps marry them into some of the farmers in the local area, and in time they have more interesting children, and the farmers would owe me one. And, well, the gene pool would get a little chlorine.
Huh. Yes, we have a little bit of a similar campaign. But yes, do your part. Um, but like I said, I will do some research. You get used to your spiritual equals, get into their circles, interact with them, make sure they accept you,
Uh-huh.
and we will talk.
Certainly.
Especially if I am impressed by your interactions. And it gives you a wink.
He'll give a kind of deep bow and that sly grin, and you kind of see bits and pieces of the human peeking out, and then he'll quickly paste the mask back on. Not that his humanity has kind of climbed up. He's more flamboyant, more roguish, and you kind of see more of that warm human charm, but quickly suppressed.
And he actually, seeing that, he notices. He leans in and says, yes, good. Use that. Embrace that. The man will keep that thing from lashing out. And he
And
says
he,
this only to Ashford. Cynthia cannot hear it, even if she's paying attention.
yeah,
Oh,
he,
Cynthia's in the book.
yeah,
Yeah, I
he
figured.
definitely nods very sagely. Well, I'll make sure to do my part for everything that you
Mhm.
were doing down here.
Now,
Anything I can do to help.
if there's anything that you can't, we try to get by without doing things that would give it a foothold. If there are things that need to be done, there are ways to appease it without stepping down to it.
Mhm.
If you need assistance and he actually turns to you and drops to a knee, looks you right in the eye, because he's a few he's a fair bit taller, but this time he's a little bit lower than your vision. He looks you in the eye and says, "If you have need of confession, come see me,
Thank you. It does help to
or
have one too.
or go to Harry."
He will kind of smile. Thank you. It does help to have people to talk about these things. Um,
Hmm.
Now, regarding the blacker parts of my history and seeing that ceremonial fire and black mass, there was a man, distinctly Robert,
Thanatos. Before you could speak another word, he says Thanatos.
and that Ashford. You see, even his phenomenal courage kind of break, and he just kind of has this very human chill go up his spine.
Hmm. Yes, we know of him. He's not shown up for his name is not shown up for quite some time, but we know of him. He's out there.
I will
If
do
you
my best.
need if you need security, we will do our best.
Thank you. I strive to at least make myself ready, but I don't know what tricks or sorceries or deals he's made.
Hmm.
This could be dangerous.
Yes. Last his name was whispered. He was very dangerous. But not necessarily in and at this he grins. A Dannington way. He's not that at least last we heard of him, he's not very gifted in that manner.
Not directly damaging, more of an infiltrator. Like he nods more in Cindy's direction.
Correct. Yes. Anyway, um if you have need of this place, you're free to come and go and read your books. They're not to leave the room, mind you. And he looks over at Cynthia.
she
Um,
she perks up, kind of smiles a bit.
hmm, like I said, they're not to leave the room, but you could read them at your leisure. You're free to come and go at the chapel. Again, those books are not to leave the chapel. Um, there will be somebody watching them at all times.
She puts
Now,
the book down and turns to David,
hmm,
bows with grace, but kind of goes to ask a question.
yes, dear, go ahead. What is it?
On to the fact of do your little investigation. Where should I start besides talking to Andy?
Oh, well, she would be the one that will allow you to start your investigation. Give me a moment. Let me remember.
And on one more side note, what time should I be aware of?
What?
I don't believe there's any time change. I know your mind tends to surf channels, dear, but um, you're in the same place. You've just been dragged lower down. Um,
Hmm.
like I said,
And shifted slightly, but not enough for an hour to have changed. It's not a time zone over. It's the same. But
and
if that's what you're meaning,
She kind of shakes her head
um,
and says, "What times did you say to be aware of again?"
times.
mm, well, I
I,
find. Okay, just a little advice from an old spy. I find it very useful to one mix and mingle in the low places of bars, the places of town gossip, and if you can't find anything there, you look on the internet, you search, you check things out, and like I said, you're just kind of looking in on the area, checking in on some happenings. If you need them to reaffirm you on your mission statement, go ahead and ask them. I know your mind tends to wander.
Yes, I might
Uh,
need a bit more clearance on that.
Now, he says Philadelphia Lutheran Church in Hickory,
And at this,
led led by a Henrik person.
hmm and
This much we know. We don't know if he's tied to any of this. We'd like to find out, but we haven't gotten close enough to that topic.
now,
Be careful when you approach this topic.
um, as soon as Mr. David finishes his spiel, Ashford will kind of gently raise up her chin so she's making eye contact and just whisper the word remember, just so her brain doesn't shift gears so many times.
Are
And
you using something?
the one word command of dominate, yes.
Command. Okay, let me double check that roll, unless you remember it.
Um, I believe it's manipulation leadership, which in Ashford's case would be 6 dice, specialty and aura of command.
Command. Actually, let me just do dominate.
Because, yeah,
Have
he's
to look
thinking,
it up.
you know, in Ashford's mind, she's a useful spy, but she's a Malkavian. She forgets what she's doing at the wrong time, goes chasing butterflies. We're screwed. So,
All right. Command is manipulation, intimidation. Actually,
okay. So that
so
would
what is that?
be 3 dice.
Three. Okay. And it
And
is difficulty of willpower, but you really
so,
only need one. And I'm pretty sure that that beats hers.
oh yes, it
Yeah.
definitely does.
Okay, so you will remember Philadelphia Lutheran Church Hickory, Reverend Henrik Person.
She gives a nod to David and
Okay.
then she asks one last question. Would it be necessary to use a certain skill of mine? Well,
Um,
And what would that be?
my obfuscating aspects.
Hmm. When he hears obfuscate, he chuckles. Obfuscate, a very useful skill. Um, at this, hang on, his face changes. Very, very ugly, wrinkled face, sunken eye sockets, and he turns to you and says, "Very useful.
She nods, very
They
much
would
understanding.
not, they would not let me on the grounds without it. Now,
She nods,
I have
understand.
things to do." Um, he looks at Ashford. When you plug in that other thumb drive with the biometrics on it, we will recognize who is logging on. You will only be allowed the information, the communication part of the net.
Mhm.
One of us will probably always be on. Usually we are. Um, and if you need something, plug it into a computer, talk to us, and as soon as you either close the program, log out of the program, or pull the drive, roughly 3 seconds later, I'd have to get a stopwatch out to figure out exactly how much, but roughly 3 seconds later, it will irreparably uninstall itself.
Mhm. Understandable. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
She nods, giving a bow to David, and then kind of casually looks up as if it's just like, would you mind if you would take me back to the surface,
Oh,
please?
he looks back and forth. Now, let me show you a little project we've been working on. They won't allow us to do this in other places, but we managed to do it here. If you'll come with me, and he leads you back out, and he leads you through a shorter series of tunnels. You can sort of get there. You can sort of figure you can get there from here. Like get through this series of tunnels from here, and it takes you to a rather wider tunnel with what looks like a motorized minecart on it, like sitting in the tunnel. And he says, he snaps to what looks like air, and this figure steps out of the shadows and goes over to the minecart. And he says, "Now, I'm going to stay here. I've got things to do, but please, go ahead, hop on, and this child of mine will take you back to the surface. If you need transportation elsewhere before he takes you to the surface, that can be arranged. But for now, it's a one-time thing. But Ashford, I'll make the announcement at the next meeting,
Hmm. Thank you, sir.
and you can come anytime, talk to one of the brothers, and he'll take you where you need to go.
Um,
Now, I must bid you all adieu. And he says this in a very good French accent. Um, but I will see you when next I see you. I will see you when we need each other, if that should happen.
mhm.
If that should happen before the meeting. Anyway, uh, carry on, carry on. I will see you later. And he waves to his child, and he starts up the cart with a
She's just kind of being whizzed along
wait.
with.
I just remembered for Ashford. He didn't get in the cart, did he?
Nope. He's basically staying in the home office, quote unquote, making
Yeah.
himself as useful as possible to the Nazis at the
Okay.
current moment.
All right. So yeah, he's not using that particular type of transportation. He says, actually, he looks at you, looks at the cart, and says, "Oh, right, that." One of our other brothers can guide you through the halls, and because I know you have a way. But yes, he can show you ways to get around through the tunnels on your own, and I'm sure you can manage. I nearly forgot that you have that issue. Anyway, I have to see if Harry can talk to lights. I know that can be frustrating. Anyway, um, on with you, and of course, the cart starts to move, and actually, as it moves, it starts picking up speed. Um, and it goes through a winding twists and turns, but he will take you back to wherever you need to go, wherever you choose for him to take you. Um, and I'm supposing that Ashford is sticking around for a little while.
Back
Yeah.
at Ashford's house.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
okay.
probably
All right.
staying at the house that Ashford basically left her. Since she's doing the stalking thing.
Or the Malkavian current place.
Yeah.
Either or.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. But as the cart pulls away, and David and Nathaniel walk back to that library, we bring the scene to a close.